Are solar tax credits for my house still a thing? Don't forget to stay tuned to the very end because at some point during this show, I'm going to give you a discount code. The first customer that sends the discount code to me, however you want to do it, will get a 10% off on their next bill. Only valid for one customer per year. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Carlson. Today is August the 16th, Monday morning. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend and a wonderful week last week. I hope you enjoyed last week's show about how do I cover those payroll taxes that are so big at the end of the month. This week, we have a great topic for you. But before we get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Strangely Warmed Coffee. Oh, this is actually a Legacy Bicycles mug. Strangely Warmed Coffee. I hope you're having your hot cup of coffee this morning and make it a strangely warm. I always do. Shout out to a customer, as always, this week, Bayhead Consulting, my buddy Greg Griffin. If you need anything from marine construction, docks, seawalls, if you need commercial construction, large or small, remodels, big jobs, if you need residential construction, anything you need, give Greg Griffin a call, Bayhead Consulting. He can do it for you or help you figure out a way to make sure it gets done. We appreciate him being one of our customers and a great friend. Solar tax credits, topic of the week. Crazy thing is, I've gotten 3 calls last week about this particular topic. So I've been doing a little bit of extra research, talking to my customers, trying to answer their question as they decide whether or not they want to switch over to solar. As you know, solar used to be hard to get, very expensive. Those prices have started coming down, and there are more contractors that can help you do it. I've had customers who have hired outside contractors to do it. I've had customers that did it themselves and saved a bunch of money, almost half, a mixture of those things in between. I think that at the end of the day, it's an individual question for you and whether or not you should get it. And let's talk about that real quick before I get into the tax credit side of it. There's a couple of reasons why you want to do solar energy. One, the most obvious, is because you just want to do something right, something you think is the correct thing to do for the environment and cut down your carbon footprint. The second reason you want to do it is because you want to take advantage of the tax credits and save money on your electric bill. So it's about saving money and the net savings. Next, I'm going to talk about some of the things you need to take into account as you look at this decision that's really individual and based solely on you. So to determine whether or not solar energy is a good choice for you, you need to look at several factors. First and obvious is the total cost of the equipment that you're going to get. The next thing you need to look at, and a lot of the calculators will do this for you and tell you what your savings will be. I know a few of the vendors will tell you what those savings will be. You need to look at your total electric bill. You need to look at what the estimate of your total electric bill will be given the amount of solar energy generation that you can afford, and determine what the break-even point is going to be on the new system that you want to install. There are 2 basic types that go for your house. There's the solar panels that go in your house to generate electricity for your home, and there's also solar hot water heaters. Interesting thing about solar hot water heaters, we just spent a week down in the Caribbean, and just about everywhere were solar generated hot water heaters, which was kind of cool with the tanks on the roof. You need to take those things into account. You also, as you look at the total cost of the system, the total savings that you estimate you could get from the system that you can afford, and you also need to look at what's my total tax liability, and am I really going to be able to benefit from the expense if I'm thinking that the tax benefits are going to help offset it. And I'll give you a few quick examples of that as we get along. The first thing I want to talk about is the overall credit. In the past, prior to December, the way they report this is crazy, but prior to December 31st, 2019, the credit was 30% of the cost to install those systems. And it was taken in the year that the systems were put in place and operational by that date. So it was 30%. Congress extended that for 2021 and 22. It's going to be reduced to 26%. In 2023, it's down to 22%. And in 2024 and beyond, the credit currently expires as of January 1st, 2024. So if you're thinking about doing it, now's the time to do it. And I would try and get it done by the end of 2022. It's probably kind of difficult to get a contractor in to give you a quote and get it installed by the end of 21, but you're good through the end of 2022 with the 26%. hot water heaters. The last one I saw of these solar hot water heaters was about $7,500. So that's something you really have to take a look at. I use an instant on gas hot water heater, so it doesn't use a lot of, and I use liquid propane that's delivered to me on a probably on a quarterly basis or every other month. So you really need to try and dig into those numbers to see if that's something you could save. I don't think I would ever get the payback on a $2,500 solar hot water heater. The way the solar hot water systems work is they basically run through a tank similar to the tank you have today, but doesn't have the internal heating element. I'm not sure if you can retrofit a current tank. I doubt it. It probably all works together. But basically, you put coils or some sort of a system on your roof. You can see pictures of solar hot water heaters. Basically, a few coils, looks very similar to a solar pool heater that just runs water through black or some sort of a coil on the roof to heat it, and it stores it in that tank, hopefully well insulated so that it stays hot for a little while and probably circulates water every now and then in order to maintain the temperature of it. You can Google search solar hot water heaters and you'll see what they look like and how they attach to your roof. The second item is the main one that most people are talking about and the ones that all of my customers have been calling me about the last few weeks, and that's a solar generation, energy generation system, which typically takes up a large amount of space on your roof, or if you have a lot of land, it could be set aside on panels in your yard or on your property somewhere, probably not too far away so that the cords could run there, but you could run it that way if you wanted to. I know there's a lot of people with farms and things, they do run them that way. So solar generation systems for your house, it's the same tax credit, currently 26%, 2023, 22%, and it expires as of January 1, 2024, unless Congress acts on trying to get that extended. I'm going to look down every now and then so I can read some of these things. I'm just going to read for a second some of the criteria that you have to take into account when you're considering solar electric generation systems. First, the system has to be installed on your primary or secondary home. There are different credits for business use property, but you have to look at that. So primary or secondary home. It doesn't matter if you finance it or pay all cash for it. You still get the same credit in the current year. It can't be a used system. The solar system has to be installed for the first time. It can only be used on an original installation. Important question that's come up a couple of times this week before I get into some of the numbers is, what is and is not included in the calculation of the credit, meaning the total expenses for installing the system? One of my clients called me just yesterday, we talked about it, and he said that several of the solar contractors were telling him that he could include the cost of a new roof, asphalt shingles on his house if those needed to be replaced at the same time. After further research, I came up with the answer to that being a clear no. Even if you get a Tesla solar roof, which replaces your asphalt shingles with small tiles that also generate solar power, they actually calculate the cost of what the cost of a regular roof would be and subtract that from the total cost of the solar system. So I'm going to look down for a second and read some of the things that are actually included. Solar photovoltaic panels or photovoltaic cells used to power an attic fan, but not the fan itself. It's important because they might try and include the whole thing. So if you already have a fan in the house and it's going to be powered by solar, the cost of the generation system can be deducted or included in the cost of the credit, but not the fan that goes in it. Kind of weird, but you might already have an existing fan or you were going to put one in anyway. Contractor labor costs for on-site preparation, assembly, or original installation, including permitting fees, inspection costs, and developer fees. I kind of got into this discussion with my customer yesterday where it says contractor labor costs for on-site preparation, where there may be some contractors out there that are including the cost of a new asphalt shingle roof as part of the prep work that they have to do to get it set up. But from the research that I did, absolutely not included. Balance of the system, equipment, including wiring, inverters, and mounting equipment, energy storage devices that are charged exclusively by the associated solar panels, even if the storage is placed in service in a subsequent year to when the energy system is installed, meaning you could add it later. That's talking about a battery system that's going to store the energy. Some people choose not to get that because of the added cost. So just to let you know, I went through one of these yesterday with the Tesla website on their solar roofs. To get that solar shingle roof was about $100,000. The cost of their battery backup system, the Powerwall, was about $23,000, about $77,000 per per Tesla wall. And those 3 is what they calculated that I would need to cover the cost of your home. Because they actually look up your home, look up how much you tell them how much energy you're using. They look at the square footage of your roof to try and figure out how to calculate this. Now, another client that I came up with the other day, we actually ran the calculation for him, and he estimated that the cost of the solar system for his house was going to be about $50,000. He wanted to know what his savings was and how the credit worked. The interesting thing in this case is that he and his wife are retired. They live on a fixed income, and their tax liability is very, very low, a couple $100s per year. If that's the case, you're not going to get the payback that you think you're going to get on the solar system. So it's important to sit with your accountant to determine what the total costs are going to be, what the tax credit's going to be, and compare that to your tax liability. For this particular client, I went back 3 or 4 years just to see what the tax liability was, to kind of see when his actual payback from the credit would run out, and it would take way too long. So he would have to determine whether or not this makes sense for him based solely on the cost of the solar system and the savings that he's projecting that he would get, and ignoring the tax credit because it really wouldn't help him too much. Again, this doesn't include any state or local credits that might be available, and some of the installers might have a better idea of what those are. I just wanted to kind of give you a highlight of what I think the system is, how it works, what the credits are, and some of the things that you need to take into account. And by the way, on that Tesla roof that was about $100,000, you would have to deduct, before you calculate the credit, deduct the cost of a normal asphalt shingle roof from the system. Basically, they would make that adjustment for you, and they tell you that when you get it. So if the last time I got a roof on my house was $24,000-ish, if the system costs $100,000, I would have to reduce that to $75,000 to calculate my 26% credit if I were to get it this year. It's very important to do these calculations. At least go through the numbers very closely with your accountant after you get the quote from your installer. Today's code word, Icarus. I'll give you a break on the spelling. All right, guys, a little bit on solar energy credits there. Just wanted to give you a little tidbit, things that are coming up with me this week. Maybe we'll do another show on cars and how the credits go. There was an exciting announcement yesterday about electric vehicle energy credits. So maybe I'll put that on for a show next week or the week after. All right, I wanted to thank you for joining me, Jeff Carlson, on Coffee with Carlson. If you need to reach us, our office in downtown Sebring, right off the circle at 129 South Commerce Avenue. We're here Monday through Friday. Fridays we leave at 1 during the summertime just to get a little bit of an extra break. And we'll start running full time on Fridays in tax season next January. You can also reach us by phone, 863-382-4141, or on the web at carlsonaccounting.com. You can even schedule an appointment for me right there. As always, if you have a question or need something from us, give us a call, shout out anytime. We're here for you, and we'll do whatever we can to help. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.